Can you imagine what a world champion must feel when he sees his most sacred record beginning to wobble, not because of just anyone, but because of Lionel Messi? We're not talking about one more goal or an extra title. We're talking about that number that stays engraved forever in the history of the World Cup. The one that seemed untouchable and that today no longer feels quite so secure. Miroslav Klose knows it, he feels it, and deep down, he accepts it. The German who for years was synonymous with pure efficiency at the World Cup. The man who scored 16 goals across 4 different editions between 2002 and 2014 looks at the current football landscape and understands that time, even for the most sacred records, also plays its own match. To understand the magnitude of what is at stake, you have to remember how Klose reached that magical figure of 16 goals. 5 goals at Korea-Japan 2002, 5 more in Germany 2006, 4 in South Africa 2010, and 2 crucial ones in Brazil. Under 2014, the World Cup where he finally lifted the trophy and surpassed none other than Ronaldo Nazario, who had been left with 15 goals as the top scorer in World Cup history. For a decade, that record seemed unreachable. Great goal scorers came and went, but none truly got close. Cristiano Ronaldo stayed at 8 goals. Thomas Müller reached 10, Neymar got to 8. All giant names, all far from Klose's 16, until Messi appeared with a consistency that few truly appreciated at the time. The Argentine captain approaches the horizon of the 2026 World Cup with something very few footballers in history have had: absolute relevance, experience accumulated across 5 World Cups, and an unfinished piece of business that no longer sounds impossible. 13 goals in World Cups, 3 fewer than Klose, just 4 to stand alone at the top of history. It's crazy to think about it. A few years ago, yes, but today, after Qatar 2022, not so much. Because that's the first key point. Messi doesn't arrive at 2026 chasing an emotional debt with the World Cup. He arrives as a champion. He arrives having closed the heaviest circle of his career. And in football, that changes absolutely everything. When the weight disappears, freedom appears. And when a player like Messi plays freely, the danger multiplies. How many goals did he score in Qatar when many said it was his last chance? 7 goals, matching the top scorers of a single World Cup in the modern era. How many decisive moments did he deliver when the margin for error was 0? All the ones Argentina needed. That's the detail that makes the record tremble. Messi scored 1 goal in Germany 2006, none in South Africa 2010. In Brazil 2014, 4 crucial goals that took him to the final. In Russia 2018, just 1 goal in a World Cup to forget. And in Qatar 2022, he exploded with 7 goals that crowned him world champion. The progression is clear. And most importantly, at 38 years old for the next World Cup, Messi has shown that age is not an obstacle when football flows through your veins. Klose, who knows a thing or two about this, doesn't speak from fear, but from football logic. In recent statements, he publicly admitted that his record is in serious danger, not out of nostalgia or false modesty, but because the numbers, the context, and the names involved say it all. He knows records aren't broken by talent alone, but by context. And Messi's context is unique. A team that backs him unconditionally. A national side that learned how to compete under pressure. A coach like Lionel Scaloni, who built a perfect system to enhance his strengths. And a leader who no longer carries the ghosts of the past. Argentina arrives at the 2026 World Cup as the reigning world champion and back-to-back Copa America winner. A consolidated, mature team with a perfect blend of veteran champions and hungry young players. That stability, that mutual understanding, that chemistry forged over years of work is the perfect breeding ground for Messi to get the scoring chances he needs. 4 goals in a World Cup don't seem like an impossible mountain for someone who, even without being a classic box striker, always shows up when history calls. If Argentina advances as expected to the quarterfinals, are we talking about at least 5 matches? 4 goals in 5 or more matches for the best player on the planet? The math is not only possible, it's likely. But the German also looks a bit further ahead. Because if Messi represents the immediate threat, Kylian Mbappé is the long-term warning. And that's where the numbers are truly frightening. 12 goals in just 14 World Cup matches. A devastating average that even surpasses Klose's own. A career that is just beginning in World Cup terms. At only 25 years old, with potentially 4 or 5 more World Cups ahead of him, Mbappé isn't chasing the record at a walk. He's running straight toward it, with a natural ease that explains why. Many already see him as the heir of this era. 4 goals in Russia 2018 at just 19 years old, including 1 in the final. 8 goals in Qatar 2022, where he became the tournament's top scorer, with a hat trick in the final, albeit on the losing side. The projection is terrifying if he maintains that average. At the 2026 World Cup, he could easily reach close as 16 goals, and even surpass them, and then would come 2030, 2034, maybe even 2038 if his body holds up. We're talking about a record that could potentially reach 25 or 30 goals, a mark that truly would be untouchable for future generations. However, there's something that gives this silent duel a special nuance. It's not just Messi versus Mbappé, it's present versus future. It's the idol who defined an era facing the phenomenon who promises to dominate the next one. It's a completed masterpiece confronting a canvas still blank, but already marked by strokes of genius. And in the middle, Klose stands as a privileged witness to a story that slips from his hands, but also elevates him. Because records, when they fall to true legends, don't shrink. They gain value. They become part of a larger narrative, a historical conversation where the chosen ones leave their mark. The German himself made it clear by recalling that he still holds other achievements that are far from minor. The player with the most World Cup wins with 17 victories, the only footballer to reach 4 consecutive semifinals, records that speak of consistency, teamwork, and long-sustained processes over time. And yet, something interesting can be felt in his words. There's no resentment, there's admiration, as if he understands that if someone is going to break his most cherished record, let it be someone like Messi or someone like Mbappé. Legends recognizing legends. Geniuses passing the torch on the biggest stage on the planet. Although Messi and Mbappé dominate the spotlight, they aren't the only ones in the conversation. Harry Kane arrives with 8 World Cup goals and a voracious hunger to score. Cristiano Ronaldo, if by some miracle he were to reach 2026, has 8 goals as well. But age works against him more clearly. Thomas Müller retired from the German national team with 10 goals, closing his World Cup chapter. But the reality is that none of them have the combination of factors that Messi and Mbappé do. The right age, a competitive team, current form, and above all, that special gene that makes them appear when matches matter most. The United States, Mexico, and Canada will host a historic World Cup for several reasons. It will be the first with 48 teams, which means more matches, more opportunities, more goals. It will be the World Cup of reunion for many Qatar champions, looking to confirm that it wasn't a fluke. And it will very likely be Messi's last dance at a World Cup. The 2024 Copa America already gave us clues. Messi, at 37 years old, is still decisive. He's still scoring in finals. He still shows up when the team needs him. If his body holds up for 18 more months until the summer of 2021, and if Argentina manages his minutes correctly during qualification, we'll reach the moment of truth. Can Messi score 4 goals in a World Cup, possibly playing 6 or 7 matches if Argentina goes far? The honest answer is yes, absolutely. He doesn't need to be the tournament's top scorer. He just needs to be consistent, take advantage of his moments, and let the team do the rest. And then the inevitable question reappears, floating in the air like before a big match. Are we about to witness one of the most historic World Cup records change hands? Will it be Messi, closing his career with another eternal page written in golden letters? Imagine the scene: MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, or the Azteca in Mexico City. Messi scoring the 17th World Cup goal of his career, surpassing Klose, raising his arms to the sky as the entire world recognizes that we've just witnessed pure history, the perfect ending for the greatest player of all time. Or will it be Mbappé, getting there first and staking his claim for the decades to come? We can picture it too. The Frenchman, at 27 years old, reaching 16 goals at the 2026 World Cup, tying Klose and knowing he has at least 2 more World Cups ahead to shatter every existing record. The present demanding its place, the future arriving ahead of schedule. Football, as always, doesn't give answers too early, but it leaves signs. And today, all of them point to the 2026 World Cup not being just another one. It will be the stage where the past, the present, and the future look each other in the eye, where Klose will watch from the stands or the broadcast as his legacy transforms, as his name becomes forever linked to this story of giants. Because in the end, that's what football is about. Records made to be broken, legends that inspire the next generations. moments that transcend time and remain etched in the collective memory of millions of fans around the world. Tell me, as a football fan, who do you see breaking that record that once seemed untouchable? Will it be Messi in his swan song? Will it be Mbappé confirming that he owns the future? Or, surprisingly, will neither of them do it, and Klose will keep reigning a few more years? I'm reading you in the comments. I want to know what football people think, the ones who live every match, every goal, every World Cup as if it were the last. And if you live football with this passion, if these stories that go beyond the result move you, subscribe to the channel because this story is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. The clock is ticking toward the 2026 World Cup, and with it, the countdown to one of the most special moments in the history of the World Cups. You can't miss it.